Okay, everybody, welcome into the 40 Acres show. Obviously, we've had a post-game show. Now we're jumping into off-season as Texas fans. And so far, it's been a very, very, very busy off-season. Obviously, with the news over the weekend, I asked, obviously, the man here, the voice of college football, as you see on the lower part of the screen, to jump on here for however long and just talk transfers, recruiting, and after this big weekend, especially recruiting, because it's been a really, really good week for the Texas Longhorns, and hopefully will only get better with early signing day on Wednesday, December 15th. And let's jump into the big news. Obviously, Quinn Ewers, um, the number one rated prospect in last year's class because he reclassified, and he would have been the number one ranked prospect in this class. He's one of like only, I believe, 10 perfect prospects ever, according to 247. I could be wrong on the number could be lower, but I know we have gotten 2 out of 3 of the quarterback prospects that were considered perfect prospects in Vince Young and now Quinn Ewers. So this is obviously a big get for Steve Sarkisian. And as soon as you heard he wanted to come home, I really thought it was going to be. I didn't think A&M was going to get him. I really didn't. Right off the bat, I was thinking Texas Tech, TCU, Texas. And to be honest with you, I thought TCU would finish second with Sonny Dykes there, Rashad Samples coming in, and then Brian Carrington, who was formerly at Texas and an ace recruiter, going to TCU along with Rashad Samples, who was another ace recruiter, and then Sonny Dykes, who runs a high-flying, good offense, and they've gotten a decent recruiting class with Jordan Hudson, the wide receiver, come in. They already have Quentin Johnston, who turned down Texas and at TCU. So I thought they were going to be a bigger player than they were, but they ended up not being. And obviously, he comes home, announces yesterday, broken by Pete Thamel, I believe. And this is a big deal for Steve Sarkisian. And before that, we can talk about this, the offensive line. What did we say over all of us Texas fans thought? We needed offensive linemen. We got offensive linemen. A lot of help. We should be sending presents out to everyone, by the way, because all of these coaching changes have really helped out Texas, especially the Oregon one. We got 2 Oregon players, and Cameron Williams, offensive lineman from Duncanville, and then Kelvin Banks, 5-star offensive lineman, the first 5-star offensive lineman Texas has signed since 2009. This is a gigantic deal, guys. Don't apologize for being excited about this one, especially because this is how you win football games. You win in the trenches. And with this offensive line recruiting class that we're putting together, the defensive line recruiting class, which is already really good with Justice Finkley, in my opinion, being the best one on that defensive line, we have a really good chance of rebuilding these trenches and rebuilding them quickly. So this has been a great weekend. He committed on Saturday. Then we got Cam Williams, another Oregon decommit, like I said. Thank you, Mario Cristobal. He committed on Sunday, and then Quinn Ewers committed later on Sunday. And obviously, you also have, like I said, all these coaching changes. You have the Keaton Crawford, a wide receiver, decommitted from Louisiana. He's in our LSU. He's in our top 4. So we have a good chance at him. We got Kobe McKenzie, who possibility he still switches back to OU, but the only reason he didn't stay at OU committed long term is because the move from Lincoln Riley. So all these coaching changes have helped. And wouldn't that be funny if that's what it took for Texas to actually come back, quote unquote, back? I know we hate throwing that word around as Texas fans. We actually don't make too big of a deal out of it. It's usually the media that does that for us. But this has a real good chance to it. I mean, like I said, you got Kelvin Banks, you got Cameron Williams. When Kelvin Banks committed on Saturday, you had Devin Campbell, crystal ball for him. I think you're going to get Malik Ogbo as well. So, I mean, you're going to have 4 very good offensive linemen along with the other 2 that we had in the class to add to that. So, 6 offensive linemen coming in, all 4 stars or higher. I mean, that's a really good haul. It's probably the best haul in the history of Texas football for recruiting for the offensive line position. So it's really important and really key that we did that for this class especially. And now they get to protect Quinn Ewers, or possibly I think Casey Thompson's going to have a shot. You know, with that thumb injury, I think it was really detrimental to his season. When he didn't have it, he was very good. So I have no issue if it's Casey Thompson, but I think it'll be one of those 2 guys coming in. I think Hudson Card will probably transfer. That wouldn't shock me. I don't think Charles Wright has the talent, no offense to him, but hopefully he stays because we do need quarterback depth. And I don't really think we go after anyone else. And obviously Malik Murphy. Shout out to that guy. He should be getting paid just as much as Quinn because he's been loyal to the soil, not even to his soil. He's from California, but he committed here. He hasn't wavered. He's been fantastic. He's been helping recruit. He just won a state championship at Sierra Canyon, I believe. So this guy, in my opinion, should be getting paid just as much as Quinn. He's been a vital part of this recruiting class, and I think he's got just as much talent as Quinn. He'd be a 5-star if they would have played out in California. With COVID, they didn't play last year except a little 6-game spring season, or maybe it may have been 4. So I like this quarterback room now, and we just got to keep them all locked in, hopefully, especially Quinn and Malik, have those battle it out for the future, and then Casey obviously battle it out for next year. Hudson will probably be gone. I don't see Charles Wright playing much into the picture, no offense to him. But those are the 3 guys I'd look out for start. I don't think Malik starts next year, but going forward, he could start for us if he stays. It would be Quinn, Casey, and Malik are the 3 important ones in that room, in my opinion. I will jump in the comments now. Force inducted, yes, sir. Yes, it's a very, very good weekend to be a Texas fan. And I got to say this real quick, VP. Casey Thompson has not got awful. Go look at his hand, and you see the downward trend in his play from that hand injury versus Oklahoma. He was playing well up until that point, and especially in that Oklahoma game. He's a decent quarterback. The offensive line is going to be better next year. I mean, there's a list of possible transfers, and we'll jump on that real quick that we can talk about. They're on some of them are on the offensive line, some of them aren't. Brady Boyd comes to mind, Minnesota commit, went to high school with Quinn Ewers, friends with Quinn Ewers. If Texas offers him, I fully expect him to be here. He's really good friends with Quinn. He had good connection with him on the field in high school, so that would be one to look out for. Another one is Curtis Dunlap. He's 100% crystal ball to Texas right now. He is a 4-star offensive lineman from Minnesota. He was he will be a 5th-year senior though, so he's a plug-and-play guy. But hey, there's no shame in that. That's the type of guys we need to win right away. You're not win. No offense to Kelvin Banks, you don't win with freshman offensive linemen. I think he's going to be tremendously talented. I think Kyle Flood's going to cater to what he needs. And I think he's going to be developed. And I think there's a really good chance he can be a 1st or 2nd round pick in the NFL when he comes out in 3 years. But he's not the answer right away. Could he play right away? Yes. Will he be spectacular right away? Probably not. That just doesn't happen. You don't see many plug and play freshmen. The only name that comes to mind on the offensive line, and not even at tackle, is Creed Humphrey. And those guys are very, very, very rare. Like I said, do I think he'll play? Yes. But if you want to win right away, you got to go get guys like this. Curtis Dunlap, offensive lineman from Minnesota, has a lot of starts under his belt. He was a Big Ten 2nd team or 3rd team All-American at one point there at Minnesota. So he's a good player. Those are the type of guys you need. Another one, not on the offensive line, but cornerback Ryan Watts. 4-star from Texas. He's transferring from Ohio State. I think Texas has a really good shot at him. He'd be a junior, and we need depth there. The cornerback position has not been a strong suit. We haven't really had great play there other than the 1 year from Holton Hill a couple years ago in 2017. So we need someone to come in and fill that spot and play very well. Next up, we have Victor Oluwatimi. Sorry, his name is very hard to pronounce. Victor Oluwatimi. He's a Remington Award finalist. Didn't win. The guy from Iowa won. Sorry. But he, again, good. He's a plug-and-play player. He was 2nd team All-ACC. He started 32 straight games in a row. This is a guy you plug and play. This is the type of guy, in my opinion, we need to go get. In a perfect scenario, you go get a guy like Curtis Dunlap from Minnesota. You go get a guy like Victor Oluwatimi from Virginia. You plug those guys in. You play them. You develop the young guys behind them. That is a perfect scenario for Texas. That's what they need to do. Another offensive lineman, Kane Lyle, 5th-year senior from Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin offensive linemen. We also love Wisconsin offensive linemen. They've been fantastic. So we need to go get one of them. Again, another plug-and-play player. That's 3 guys. If you plugged all 3 of them in, you have your center. I'd actually give Jake Majors and Junior Angulau a chance to compete for those positions. But let's say they lost and these guys won. You legitimately could just plug those 3 guys in, and then you have all of these recruits plus anyone else on the roster. You can have a gigantic competition for your 2 tackle spots. And I think you could have a really good offensive line if that were the case. So I think that's what they need to do. One other guy that we'll talk about, obviously we know him as Texas fans. He's on the other side of the rivalry with Oklahoma, Theo Weiss at wide receiver. Marvin Mims' name was hovered around out there. I don't think he actually officially entered the transfer portal. He would be higher on my list than Theo Weiss, but obviously a former 5-star recruit. Hasn't really done much at Oklahoma, but again, a 5-star recruit, and our wide receiver room is thin, so we need wide receivers. We'll jump in the chat again. It's no secret. Great play starts 100%. Look at Alabama. When they struggled, this year, they struggled at the offensive line position. When that was figured out, you saw what Bryce Young did to Georgia's defense with those weapons he has. And I think we have similar weapons to this year's Alabama team. I really believe that. I think Xavier Worthy's just as good as Jamison Williams. I think Bijan Robinson's better than Brian Robinson. The difference is the quarterback play obviously is better with the Heisman Trophy winner, but that has a lot to do with the offensive line. How did he look in that Auburn game, guys? He's a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. He didn't look too great behind that offensive line. When that offensive line played up to their standard at the University of Alabama, he looked pretty damn good. So that's the key here is getting good offensive line play, developing the quarterback, and we'll be just fine. I think the defense played a little bit better coming down the stretch. Obviously, you have to get better on that side of the ball. There's a couple of positions we're thin at. Defensive line, we're set. I'm not worried about that position. I'm worried about linebacker, especially if Kobe McKenzie does decide to decommit and go back to Oklahoma. That would hurt. Obviously, we didn't get the transfer linebacker who would have been another plug-and-play player. I believe Jalen Waterman, I believe his name is. He went to Michigan State. That would have been a plug-and-play player. That hurts. And DeMarvion, obviously, coming back will help out that position. Luke Brockermeyer, I don't want him starting, but if he's in the rotation, I have no issue with that. If you play him 15, 20 plays, I think he's capable of doing that. And I think Jalen Ford and David Gavenda, they're going to have to step up if we don't hit that linebacker recruiting hard, or if we don't keep Kobe McKenzie, or if we don't get anyone in the transfer portal. Those are the two guys you got to look at. They're going to have to step up. Obviously, with safety play, you saw B.J. Foster, Chris Adamora transfer. Anthony Cook has not decided what to do, I don't believe. I haven't seen anything about that. That would be interesting because he was probably one of our three best defensive players, and it's big position with that nickel spot. So that'd be nice to get him back. Deshaun Jameson's coming back. Let's be honest here, guys. He did not have a good season. So that's a big thing, too. We need cornerback and safety. We really, really need. I think those are probably our two priorities. And then linebacker, because I actually trust David Gavenda and Jalen Ford. Now, if you get injuries there, you're going to have some trouble. But starting linebacker-wise, I think we'll be fine. It's depth-wise. So, in my opinion, that's where we're going to have to hit the transfer portal and just find these okay guys that can come in and rotate for 15 to 20 plays a game. Why would Casey start? He was terrible at TCU. The hand is a scapegoat, and he just isn't going to beat out Murphy, Carter, Hewers. Casey is going to hit the portal. I'm saying I'd give him a chance to compete. I think he's earned that right, guys. He's been here. He's been loyal. There's no problem with giving him a chance to compete. Malik's not starting next year. That's just not going to happen. I think there's a really good chance where in a dream world, we keep him. Hewers, obviously impressive, starts right away, goes to the NFL after 2 years, and then Malik plays, or if you have Arch Manning in the fold, he plays. That would be a dream scenario. I don't know if that's going to happen because who knows if Arch Manning decides to come here still. I think that's up in the air. I actually think people are saying this hurts the case. I disagree. If Steve Sarkisian could take Quinn Ewers, who was a 5-star prospect, and turn him into a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, that's a skin on his wall. And that makes Arch Manning want to come here even more. And I know Quinn won't be in the NFL by the time Arch were to get here. But I'm saying if he plays really well next year, that just makes Arch, in my opinion, more likely to come here saying, oh, wait, he did that to him. I think he can do that with me. And he'd only have to sit 1 year. So I think this makes it a better possibility if Quinn plays well. I will say that. If Quinn doesn't play well, then that's probably going to be a recruiting thing and theme that other teams will hit on. I don't see him going to Georgia now, though, either, because why would you go there? You're going to win, but you're not going to be developed. You see what Kirby Smart thinks of really good quarterbacks, guys with higher ceilings. For some reason, he decides to go with the safe option, such as a Jake Fromm or Stetson Bennett over a Jacob Eason or Justin Fields. So I don't understand that, but I wouldn't go there personally. Right now, if Lane Kiffin is truly locked in, I would go. If I'm Arch Manning, that's where I'm going. But who knows? I don't know what's going on in his head. Please to God, no. We're not going 11-1 or 10-2. Stop the stupid stuff. Stop it. We're not having these expectations this high. Realistic expectation, guys, we were 5-7 this year, is 8-4. That's a 3-win improvement. That's pretty damn good, and I think most Texas fans should be happy with that. 8-4. If you want to say 11-1, 10-2 is the high end, that's fine. But no, that is not the expectation. If that is your expectation, you're wrong. It's unreasonable, and it's dumb. I'm just going to flat out say it's dumb. You should not have that expectation. 8-4 is thank you. 8-4 is the highest. I 100% agree with that, Jeremiah. This is where we have to set the standard. 8-4 is the standard right now. Then you build off from there. I'm not saying going forward in 5 years that should be the standard. For next year, that is the standard in my opinion. Then you build off from that. I think you go from 8-4, you go to 10-2, and then you start building towards a playoff type championship type team. And we were 5-7, guys. We were not a great football team, but remember this: 6 games, all blown halftime leads. Think about that. That means you cut them in half. You do 3 of those. You're 8-4. That's all you have to do. That's why I'm saying 8-4. I think that's 100% possible. We've gotten better. There's no doubt about that. The guys that didn't want to be here aren't here anymore. BJ Foster, giving up. I tried to defend that guy because he's talented, and when he did care, he was a pretty good player, but he gave up way too much. Chris Adamora, I actually think he's really good. I don't know who he's going to go to, but I think he should have played more here. He was good under Tom Herman when he played, so I didn't really understand that one, if you want me to be honest. The Mannings like the idea of redshirting anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it works out. That is a dream world scenario, and that is a scenario where you could see like a Clemson type situation, if you guys want me to be honest, where Quinn Ewers comes in, we go 8-4 next year, possibility of getting to a college football playoff. He leaves, Arch Manning comes in, and then wins the national championship, like a Clemson type scenario where they had with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. I think that's very possible. So that's the dream scenario. That's not a realistic scenario. That's a dream scenario, and that'd be awesome to have. But we'll see what turns up. Michael, I 100% agree. Progress. That's the whole thing. Progress. And I think progress, like I said, really good progress would be, like I said, 6 games. You cut that in half to 3. That's 8-4 team. I think that's really good progress. A 3-win improvement is a lot, guys. I'm not. I don't think I'm being unrealistic by saying like we need to go 10-2 or 11-1. Like, no offense, Texas Savages. No, that's just not the case. 8-4 is good enough right now, and then we'll build from there. And I'm really excited. I mean, guys, I think we'll know what this team will be in that Alabama game. If they compete, stay within 14 points, 17. I'll say 17. Stay within 17 points to what I think next year is going to be an insane offense. Then we can tell we're on the right track, in my opinion. It's going to be interesting too. But there's some rumblings about adding, obviously, Gary Patterson in the staff as an analyst. There's rumblings about adding Manny Diaz. I believe Eric Nalen from Inside Texas reported on one of the videos about in the past week that somebody he couldn't say the name, but there was someone else out there in the wind that could have been added to the defensive staff. So that's going to be interesting to see. They obviously want to improve that side of the ball, as they should. Who do you think? It's going to be Devin Campbell. He's going to commit. The question is, I think he wanted to announce at the Under Armour All American game, and I believe that's in January, early February. So there's a real possibility he signs his NLI, faxes it in, or however they do it now, and then he announces in January, February. But I think he's basically a lock at this point. I actually think he was going to go to Oklahoma before Lincoln Riley left, and the perfect scenario happened. He really likes USC, so Lincoln Riley left. Bill Beanbo stayed at Oklahoma, so he split the two up. If Lincoln Riley stays at OU, I believe Devin Campbell ends up at OU. If Bill Beanbo goes to USC, I believe he ends up at USC. It happened perfectly. They split up, and I think he's going to come to Texas. I think the next one you will hear about is going to be Malik Agbo. We've heard about that for a while. There's been signs of it. If you guys know who Hayes Fawcett is, on Instagram, he's with On3 Sports. He does a really good job over there. He has a lot of news. He was on an Instagram live actually with Derek Brown, Justice Finkley, TJ Dudley, who's another Oregon decommit who we could land. I don't know though. He seems like I don't think he's going to end up here personally. I think he's kind of just playing it for the Texas brand, playing out the situation. And then there is but he said on the Instagram live, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second, but he said on the Instagram live that there was 3 Texas edits minimum coming this week. So that means we're either going to have a decommitment, someone committing to us, or a decommitment commitment. So in my opinion, 2 out of those 3 are probably Devin Campbell and Malik Agbo are the possibility. Now, if I said what I said and Devin Campbell is doing the silent commitment, then it's Malik Agbo, and there's 2 others that I don't know of. One of them that I'd keep an eye on is Evan Stewart. Obviously, really, really good friends with Quinn Ewers. Him and Armani Winfield worked out a lot with Quinn Ewers. So that's a possibility. I would also keep an eye out, like I said, Armani Winfield. I don't think Denver Harris is going to end up here. I think Harold Perkins is a possibility. I think Dewberry and Harris are going to end up in A&M, sadly. They're probably going to have the number one class in the nation. That's fine. We build on the things that we needed to build on, and I'm fine with this class 100%. I think we're going to end up with probably the fourth or fifth best class. Right now, I believe we're seventh with Quinn. I think we're sixth, or we're either sixth or fifth. We're somewhere between 5 and 7, including Quinn. So far, a pretty good class for Steve Sarkisian's first class. If Malik signs, I think one of them transfers. I think you're going to see the other one compete with Quinn, and then whoever doesn't get the job, if it's announced, like it'll probably be announced in the spring, then they would transfer. But one of them transfers now, the other one transfers probably later if they don't win the job. And you guys act like there couldn't be improvement. There can 100% be improvement from these two. They could beat Quinn in the spring. That would not shock me, for the reason being Quinn Ewers was the third string at Ohio State. Obviously, CJ Stroud got better throughout the year and played very well at the end of the year. And then I believe Jack Miller, no, he was fourth string. I'm trying to think. McCord, I believe Kyle McCord was second string. So this guy wasn't even the second string quarterback. So let's not put all these unrealistic expectations on him going forward either. Let's see what we got there. See him in the spring game. See the stuff coming out of camp. Obviously, Steve Sarkisian was actually very honest about this team in the spring. He said it had holes. He talked about it. He was never like super high on this team. So it'll be interesting to see what he says when he sees Quinn in practice. Yes, Manny Diaz did get the Penn State gig. There was a possibility he was coming here. There was rumors about that, but no, he's in Penn State. I'm not happy that Coburn. I'm fine with Coburn coming back. He's a good rotational piece. Jameson, I agree with you. He's not very good. He's a really good return man. But the thing is, beggars can't be choosers. At this point, we have no cornerback depth, and if we have to run Deshaun Jameson out there, we have to run Deshaun Jameson out there. There's no one else to run out there, guys. Like, we have Jahdae Barron. That's it. So Darian Dunn's not it. Jameson's not it. Keaton Crawford, I don't know. Haven't seen him play enough. So we can't, point fingers and say we don't need this guy. We kind of do. We don't have anyone else at this point. And I don't think we're getting Denver Harris. So we're going to have to look in the transfer portal. Obviously, Ryan Watts from Ohio State, name I mentioned earlier, is a big one to look at. I don't know how good he is, obviously. So we'll see. Because their cornerbacks aren't great, and he's transferring there because he didn't get enough playing time. So I think that's a possibility too. That's a name to keep an eye on. To me, though, he never seemed high on Texas. Like, he decommitted from LSU and then ran right to A&M, but now A&M has a coaching change. So we'll see. It is a possibility. That'd be a big get. Obviously, with Brian Allen, I think his name is. It's either Byron or Brian. I'm sorry, I bad with first names, but he's coming in this class for Texas as a safety too. He's a very good player. He's got a really good chance to start right away. I think him and Kelvin Banks probably have the best chance of starting from guys in this class. And Jacoby Matthews would fit that as well. I think he could start right away if he does come here. VP. Casey has played well against Rice, Tech, and Kansas. All bad defense. He played well against OU, but they have one of the worst secondaries in the nation. All fool's gold. That's a possibility. But the thing is, we haven't seen Quinn play either, guys. We haven't seen Quinn play versus any team in college. So we don't know. So that's why I'm saying keep an open mind. You get like I said, it's very hard for a guy that's never taken a step to just be thrown into a situation like Texas. By the way, playing UTSA and then Alabama. Those are two really hard games for the first 2 games of your college career. So it would not shock me if Casey Thompson is the starting quarterback or Hudson Card next year. Whatever one doesn't transfer, I would bet Casey. I just don't see Hudson as the quarterback here next year. That would actually surprise me. Casey has dreams with the NFL and is dipping the moment to win shit. I agree. That's why I think they're going to give him a chance to compete. And then once Sark says, if it's a situation where it is where like Hudson Card, he names the starter, he will transfer immediately. I'd look for Oregon. I think that'd be a very interesting spot for him. I've said that for legitimately the past year. Penn State, obviously, rekindle that relationship with Mike Yursich, and Sean Clifford's terrible. He's coming back. Casey Thompson would be an upgrade over him. So we'll see. There's plenty of positions for him out there. There's a lot of deep. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up going if he does transfer. And then obviously, guys, there's a domino effect too. People need to realize that with Quinn. When Quinn comes in here, there's going to be recruits, like I said, Evan Stewart or Monty Winfield may decide, hey, I don't want to go to Michigan State. I don't want to go to A&M. And they may come back to Texas. You may have guys that Texas was like in their top 7, but then they cut it down to 4 or 5 and been like, oh, maybe I need to re-include them. Stuff like that. There's a really good possibility we're going to end up with 2 to 3 recruits because of Quinn Ewers, and that'd be awesome, especially if it's someone like a Harold Perkins or someone like a Evan Stewart. Evan Stewart changes the dynamics of our offense. Harold Perkins changes the dynamic of our defense. Those are big time recruits. Denver Harris would be the same. Again, I don't see him coming here. Sucks. But and if you were ranking those needs, personally, I would have Denver Harris at 1. We really need a cornerback, guys. Wide receiver, I'm not as worried about anymore because I think we're going to end up getting a transfer too. And I really think Keaton Crawford from Louisiana is going to end up at Texas. So I think that room will be decent enough, especially with improved line play and hopefully a somewhat full season of Jordan Whittington. And then obviously Xavier Worthy and Marcus Washington and others. But we'll see. Card's biggest problem was he was so raw. He needs 2 years to work on his mechanics. Depending on the Manning fight, will be Murphy and Card. I don't disagree with that. Don't disagree with that at all. And if you're just going by tools, Murphy's going to win that. The guy threw 78 yards as a junior in high school. He's athletic. Like I said, gigantic arm. That's a possibility, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he'd probably be our 4th or 5th best wide receiver right now. Hudson Card could move to receiver, possibly. I doubt it, though. VP, wide receiver recruiting. Oh, it's been very underwhelming. We have 1 recruit, Brennan Thompson. Like I said, basically what you're looking at is your top 4 or 5 wide receiver from next year are going to be Xavier Worthy, Brennan Thompson, Jordan Whittington, Marcus Washington. I think we need another. Like I said, if you get Keaton Crawford, then I think it's an average room. It's like, it's okay. And then if you got Evan Stewart, that changes the whole dynamic of the room. But again, if I had to choose between Evan Stewart and Denver Harris, I'm taking Denver Harris. We have no one at cornerback. We need a shutdown corner. We need a plug-and-play guy. And again, with an improved offensive line and the running backs we have, and possibly upgrade at quarterback, whether that be with progression from one of the guys that played last year or Quinn Ewers, I think we'll be better on offense next year than we were this year. My dream scenario is Ewers gets 90, then Malik gets a 90, and Arch does. I don't think it wouldn't be possible. That's not a possibility because Ewers will. I mean, I guess. Let me see. Okay, so Ewers will be here for 2 years. He leaves, goes to the NFL. Murphy slides in for 1, leaves, goes to the NFL, and then Arch I guess you could. That'd be a lot of turnover, and basically 3 years you're gonna have 3 different quarterbacks. I don't see that happening. That's like, no offense, delusional scenario. We need more speed. Allegedly, Jaden Alexis could be the 3rd. Yeah, he could be again. Haven't seen it. He was injured, so we'll have to see. That was funny because under Tom Herman, that room was like really crowded, and they had a lot of good wide receivers with very high ratings, but none of them really turned out. Obviously, Avante Woodard just transferred. Colin Johnson was always hurt. Little Jordan Humphrey was the best wide receiver, and Devin Duvernay. And Little Jordan Humphrey, I think he was a 3-star recruit, so he wasn't even that highly recruited. And then or rated, and then Devin Duvernay was a 4-star. And by the way, both those guys would ended up at Baylor if not for the Art Briles scandal there. So they kind of just fell in our lap. We got really lucky. I mean, it could have been really bad without those two the last couple of years. But yeah, 100% the wide receiver room is something we need. It'd be awesome if we could get both guys to flip back, and Evan Stewart and Armani Winfield. I haven't really looked at Armani Winfield's Twitter or his social media. I have looked at Evan Stewart's. He does like a lot of Texas stuff. But obviously, they're going through his recruit, guys. This guy's a pretty big troll. So him liking stuff doesn't mean he's going to flip to Texas. Is there a possibility? 100%. Do I think he does it? I don't know. I really don't. It's hard to read someone's mind like that. He hasn't been really honest with his intentions the whole time, so I miss him too. He's playing really well with the Saints. He finally got a shot, and like I said, he's playing well, especially with the quarterback situation they have going on there, which has been terrible. I mean, Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. Taysom Hill is a joke, and somehow has made like $60 million playing quarterback in the NFL. So, and I know he plays all over, but Sean Payton's trying to make him a quarterback, and he's just not a quarterback. He's an athlete who, when Drew Brees was there, he was using the proper way. Force inducted. Worthy has mentioned Alexis has speed. That's good. We do need speed, but there's also we need Troy O'Meara. Forgot to mention his name. He's so forgotten because he's been hurt the last 2 years. But that's someone we need too, guys. We need a red zone threat that we can just high point this, go get the ball. That type of guy. I think Jordan Whittington is definitely our possession receiver, our third down receiver. I think our Xavier Worthy is kind of like our do it all, but mostly like gadget guy or deep shot guy. I think we need a Troy O'Meara red zone guy where you can just put him in the red zone, have him high point balls, get beat 1-on-1 matchups. That's what we need him for. And then if you can have, like I said, another speedster would be nice. So you can have Xavier speedster and then Jordan Whittington in the slot making third down catches. That'd be a really good receiver trio. And then, like I said, just put Troy O'Meara in at a wide receiver in the red zone, and obviously Jatavian Sanders. We got to get more play. We got to get more yards, stats, whatever you want to call it, out of the tight end position. We haven't had that in a long time. That's probably David Thomas. That's probably Jermichael Finley. It's been a very long time since we've been able to say we've gotten good play out of the tight end position. And Jatavian Sanders is going to have to step up. Juan Davis is going to have to step up. We're gonna have to get some good play from those guys. And if Jatavian Sanders does not play much this year at tight end, move his ass to defensive end. Like, why are you here, man, if you're not gonna play? So I'm hoping he gets a lot of playing time at tight end. Like I said again, if he doesn't, you need to walk into his room and say, hey, you're playing defensive end or you're transferring. And that's how it needs to go if he doesn't come out and play a lot of snaps at tight end this year. Everyone wants Bama until they get Bama, then they cry. We see this with everyone. We see it with the one that comes to mind, Vanderbilt the week before they played Bama, holding up signs, and then you have the one guy at the end of the game in the crowd crying, and they're down 52-0. We don't want Bama, guys. I just want the game close. I think it'll be a fun game, but you don't want Bama until you get. You want Bama until you get Bama, then you don't want them, and that's probably what's going to end up happening. 100%. 100%. Jim, I'm not worried about the offense. Defense has to improve a lot, specifically PK. I haven't really heard much about Jimmy Lake. That was my one caveat with keeping PK. I wanted to hire Jimmy Lake. I've heard nothing about that. So that worries me. I wanted him. And we just didn't get him. We didn't even reach out to Corey Raymond when LSU let him go, or maybe we did, and he just chose Florida. But that would have been nice to get him. We just need improvement on that side of the ball, whether that be schematically, teaching wise, play calling wise. We need it all. That has not been our strength in a very long time. And win a national championship, it doesn't have to be a strength necessarily, but it can't be bad. It's got to at least be average, and then you're gonna have to put on a great offense to win a national championship or compete for a national championship. The pass rush is what we need. We had like 3 to 4 sacks. I think it was more than that, but yeah, it wasn't much. My guess is like 15 to 20 because we had like 3 or 4 the first game versus Louisiana, and then it really dropped off. Obviously, I think Ovi is a good pass rusher. He's not a great one. He's a guy who, if he was playing at Alabama or Georgia, you'd put him in there 10 plays a game, and he'd probably end up with like 4 to 5 sacks at the end of the year. Like, he should not be our starter at a place like this. Like, he should be our third string guy depth wise that, like I said, would play 10, 15 plays a game max. Murphy does show tremendous potential, and he also does. He's also showed tremendous growth. He's gotten a lot better as his high school career has gone on. He seems like a really good person, a really good kid. So I'm rooting for him. We all should be, and it wouldn't shock me if he ends up being just as good or better than Quinn. That would not shock me. 100%. I think Byron Murphy. Yeah, Byron Murphy's really good. I pointed him out again last year. He's a dog. He's a really good player. He's probably our best interior defensive lineman, either him or Tavondre Sweat at this point. And they need to move Alfred Collins, in my opinion, back on the inside, but I don't know if they're going to do that. We'll see. Voy, FYI. I don't know what that means, Sophie Knight. I like Alfred Collins, but it seems he has moved a lot. He is moved a lot. They kind of use him. Like I said, we don't really have any. They're kind of just throwing darts at the dartboard and trying to find something that sticks, man. Because they don't really have anyone for certain positions. The defensive line has not been getting pressure. We weren't great against the run this year, so they're trying to figure out how the guys in the middle that can stop that. And like I said, we don't have a pass rush, so they're kind of just like, okay, move here, oh, move here, move here, move here. We need at least 2 or 3 dominant defensive linemen to either show up and the people that we have or are getting in this recruiting class, or you're going to have to find someone in the transfer portal who's, for whatever reason, underperformed at their other school, and you make them perform to the standards they should be performing at. That's the only thing I can say. Like, I think Byron Murphy's going to show up next year. I think he's going to be good. I think Ovi's going to be decent. I think he'll improve based on last year. I think he'll put on some weight. He's pretty light for a edge rusher. And then I think someone in this class is going to have to either step up next year or obviously definitely in the future. And I see that as like a Justin Finkley, possibly Derek Brown. He definitely needs to put on some weight. He's a little slight, but I like it. I like him. He's obviously been a instrumental part in this recruiting class, in the recruiting portion, and hopefully he can be an instrumental part when he joins his team as a football player. Collins, Murphy, and whoever wins the other positions, I'll be happy Coburn just doesn't move the needle for me. Played a well game. I agree. He's a rotational player. He's not who we all thought he was going to be when he got here. But you put Collins and Murphy in, and then the other 2 positions, you basically see who wins them. We need a portal safety that's a dog. Yeah, I haven't really seen anyone at the safety position where I'm like, oh, that'd be an interesting guy. The only guy that even comes to mind in the defensive back room wise, that'd be like, okay, that'd be a hell of a get, is Elias Ricks. And I don't think he's coming here. He was going to go to Ohio State. That was 100% a lock before the players basically said, hey, if he comes here, I'm transferring. Like 2 or 3 guys said that because they know he'd come in and start because he's probably the best quarterback in the country right now. So Texas should be all over that. I haven't heard much. I haven't heard anything actually on Texas and Elias Ricks. My guess is he ends up at USC or just goes back and stays at LSU. That's my guess on that. We'll have to see though. But then again, let the bowl season play out and see what happens. There's a really good possibility that really good players transfer after the bowl games. So we'll have to see what happens then. That'll be very interesting when that does happen. And I mean, there's other positions we need to hit on as well, guys. I mean, like I said, linebacker, especially if Kobe McKenzie doesn't stay, that's a big need. Basically, our defensive line is the only thing on defense where I'm like, okay, we have depth, we have good talent there now. We need to build on everything else: safety, corner, linebacker, offensive line, or offensive line we're good at now. Running back we're good at. I think quarterback we're fine at. It's basically just the wide receiver room, and I think basically one of these position groups is probably not going to get filled. They need to try to fill every other one, but I don't think it's really possible to make me confident in the roster as a whole. I think there's going to be one that's going to be left and going to be like, eh. And to be honest, if we're choosing position groups where it's like, I'm choosing wide receiver just because I think you can scheme around that and you at least have Xavier Worthy. And then again, you have a really good running back room. And I think the offensive line obviously will be improved. But if I'm choosing and if I'm ranking the room to where I think we need to fill the need the best, I'm going corner, linebacker, safety, or corner, safety, linebacker, wide receiver. You can scheme around the linebackers. You can scheme around wide receivers. We also have decent wide receiver or decent linebackers, starters. We don't have depth there. Whereas cornerback, we don't really even have any good starters there. Obviously, I think Jahdae Barron's pretty good, so you put him out there. But the other ones, I don't know. Safety, I don't know. So it's going to be interesting. IT reporting we might land Matthews, Brooks, and Harris. I just don't see Harris. I really don't. He's multiple people have crystal balled him. I believe even Steve Wiltfong has crystal balled him to A&M. He took his visit Saturday to A&M. I don't even know when he was on Texas campus. It's been a while. I just don't see that. I could see Jacoby Matthews, Brooks possibly. Who knows? But I just don't see. I just don't see Denver Harris. That's fine. Winfield would be fine too. We just need some, like I said, need some depth there. If we got Armani Winfield, the Coldest Crawford, I'm cool with the wide receiver room. I think it's fine. Jeremiah Powell, 247 said Harris is likely the A&M, but Matthews, yeah, that makes more sense. I could see that. I just don't see it. I don't see Denver Harris coming here. I just don't. Harold Perkins, I don't know. He's pretty quiet. Um, so we'll have to see. I don't know. Um, It'll be interesting to see with him. And he took Dewberry's not coming here, by the way, either. Like, people have been reporting on that, and that's been pretty obvious. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just see Dewberry and Harris as locks at A&M, even with Elko going to Duke. And I believe even their defensive line coach, this could be wrong, got hired on as the defense coordinator at Duke. So that'll be interesting to see. That'd be the only way if they were like really close with them, but I just don't see it. I want Coleman from, you mean Copeland? Jacob Copeland? Is that who you're talking about? Yeah, he's in the portal. Dion Smith is in the portal from LSU. Brady Boyd, like I said, I think from Minnesota, if we offer him, will come here. Dion Smith is a speedster from LSU. That'd be an interesting get. Jacob Copeland is more of, he's not a slow, but he's a little bit bigger body. It'd be interesting to get him as well. Like I said, we just need help at that position, so that'd be interesting. I've had multiple people telling me to sit back and watch Denver Harris. Heard he really don't like Aggies even though he visited this weekend. I don't think, no offense, but I don't think that's true because I don't think you're going to go waste a visit this late before your commitment to a place you wouldn't even consider unless you already know and you're just taking it for a trip. But everyone I've seen has crystal balled him to A&M. There's been no crystal balls for Texas, zero. So I just think he's going to A&M. Jim, I do think we'd land Watts. If we push for Watts. I don't know if there's going to be a push, but if there is, I think we land him. I think he wants to come back home. I think we provide the playing time he wants as well, since that room is thin. So I think Ryan Watts does end up here if we push. Again, I wish we would talk or do anything to Elias Ricks. Maybe we are, but I've heard legitimately nothing about that. Maybe he just has no, or zero interest in Texas. That could be a possibility where he's just not interested whatsoever. But obviously he's going to get playing time wherever he goes, so we can't even say that. So really, I think he just wants to make the most money in the NFL and win. So that's why I don't think we're getting the play there that we probably could be getting. Okay, guys, before I'm going to get off here in a little bit, but please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. There's 33 of you guys in there, so please hit that like button. Again, go over to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, as you see it scroll across the bottom of the screen on the ticker. Subscribe to him, like his channel, go over the channels list, scroll down, subscribe and like all of those channels that are associated with his channel, which bring you team content like Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, USC, brings you all here. He's trying to build something really special, guys. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Really helps out the channel. Thank you. I'll go in for 6 more minutes. We could get 3 to 4 guys before next season in the secondary. And to be honest, that's probably not even enough because that safety room is pretty decimated. We probably need 3 to 4 corners to be realistic. That'd be like perfect scenario to have an open competition. But 3 to 4 guys would suffice for next season. But I don't think it's perfect. Obviously, we would definitely need more, in my opinion. Denver Harris is another guy, though. If you're including him in there, if he was one of the 3 or 4, that's a game changer. That's the guy you just say, go over there. You're playing this year. You're already locked in. Then you get Jahdae Barron, and then basically you have a competition for your 3rd and 4th cornerback position spots. So, and hopefully they don't just give Deshaun Jameson a spot and actually let Jahdae Barron, the guy who played better this year, the spot because he's better. We have to spend spots on linebacker. That's all we can spend it on. I mean, I actually don't hate, like I said, I don't hate our starting linebackers, in my opinion, what they're going to be next year. I think it's going to be DeMarvion and then either Jalen Ford or Gabenda, and then one of those guys is going to come off the bench with Brockmeyer. Like those four as your linebackers in rotation, I don't mind. That's a decent linebacker room. The problem is once you get past that, then we do have issues. There's really no one else there. So that would hurt. That would hurt a lot. But we tried to get the guy from UNLV, didn't work out. He would have been a plug-and-play player. Hopefully, we can keep Kobe McKenzie. I think he can be in that rotation too. If you have those guys as a five-man rotation at linebacker, I can go into a season and believe in that room. The secondary room, I don't even know who you're going to play. Like I said, Deshaun Jameson is not a good cornerback. So you're basically telling me Jahdae Barron, then who? We don't really have a second one, guys. So that's something we need to look on. That's a really good question too, because if he leaves, that hurts as well. He was, like I said, I think he was one of our three best players on defense. He held that nickel position up. He was very good at that nickel position. So I have heard nothing on him. He's like the last one that was like deciding, quote unquote, what he will do, what he's gonna do. At this point, my guess would be he stays because I don't think he's transferring. If he did, that wouldn't make much sense. He played a lot, played well. I think he improved his draft stock, but if he left for the NFL draft at this point, he's probably a fifth, sixth round pick. So I wouldn't understand that either. So I guess I would say if I'm putting in order, he stays, transfers, or goes to the NFL. The NFL just doesn't even make any sense. Neither is transferring, but the NFL makes legitimately no sense. You're going to leave a team that's going to be better next year to be a fifth or sixth round pick and possibly not even make a roster. That doesn't make much sense to me. Is that true? Did Kobe just flip? I'm not. That wouldn't shock me. Um, I also think, no offense to him, that's really stupid. Not flipping to OU, but flipping back and forth like this. Like, why didn't you take the meeting with Brent Venables first and then, or wait till the coach was named, take the meeting with the coach, and then decide, hey, I'm flipping to Texas before you flip to Texas? I think that's really stupid. But hey, do what you want to do. I heard last week Cook was back, but before he was gone. Yeah, he also tried to transfer a couple years ago and kept flipping back and forth. So he may just be one of those guys that can't make up his mind. But he would be instrumental to have back, guys. He's a good player. I disagree with that. Jason Sugamel from Orange Bloods talked about that. His dad actually said he had a conversation with him and said, "Hey, this is up to you. I'm going to leave you alone. You make the decision." So, and I doubt if his parents did in fact pressure him to make that decision. They're terrible parents. First off, you should never pressure your kid to make any decision when they're 18 years old to do something that's going to affect the rest of their life. But I just don't believe that. He's just supposed to, yeah. I mean, everyone saw it coming. I'm not shocked by it. Like I said, I think it was pretty dumb for him to flip back and forth like that, but his life. Yeah, I've heard this too. Ryan Day talking to Chicago Bears. The news that I've heard is basically he wants a front office position, so like GM and the head coach. If he gets that, I think he leaves. I think if he's just offered a head coaching job, I think he stays at Ohio State. That would be huge, guys. If that were to happen, there's a really good chance we could get some of their recruits. There's a really good chance we could get some of their guys that are currently on the roster. I think immediately they'd probably hire Luke Fickell. I can't really think of another name that comes to mind. I wouldn't be shocked if he was talked about or hired within the day if Ryan Day did leave. I don't think he would. Like I said, I don't think he's leaving unless he gets that head coaching job with the front office job married into one. I don't think he's leaving. I think he wants that Chip Kelly Eagles treatment. And personally, I would not give that to him. I think that's really stupid for a first-time NFL head coach to get. But it's the Bears, and they're stupid. So who knows what they'll do. One of the recruiting reports said that his parents were sold on OU, but Kobe's confused, and it was his decision. May not be pressured, but pressure. I mean, okay, so you're saying like because his parents want it. Okay, I see what you're saying. They're not like you got to go to OU. Okay, yeah, then that makes sense. I think that happens in every recruitment, though. I think that's just a normal thing of the process. I think parents fall in love with one school sometimes. The kid doesn't like the other one. The name that comes to mind, Jacob Copeland, from Florida, I believe. His grandma had an Alabama sweatshirt on. He chose Florida. She walked out. There's all types of pressure like that. Like, but at the end of the day, it's a kid's responsibility and his choice. So you got to put it on him, and that's fine. He can go there. I don't have any hard feelings. I have hard feelings because you kept flipping back and forth like that. I think that's very immature and stupid. But go where you want to go. Go to the place that best suits you, gives you the best chance to go to the NFL. Gives you the best chance to create generational wealth, gives you the best chance of playing time, all that stuff. All that stuff's important. And he thought it was OU, and there's no issue with that. No hard feelings there. The way he handled it, I think, again, immature, dumb, but he is only 18, so it is what it is. But before I leave, guys, can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe. I'm going to be bringing off-season content. I'm probably going to do a live stream. Got to figure out my schedule. Then I'll set it up. But I'm probably going to do a live stream once a week. So, again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys. And remember, early signing day, the 15th. This is a big week for Texas. Obviously, this weekend was big. But remember, hook 'em.